On May 5th, 1993, three 8-year-old boys, Steve Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers, were reported missing in West Memphis, Arkansas. The first report to the police was made by Byers' adoptive father, John Mark Byers, around 7 p.m. The boys were allegedly last seen together by three neighbors who in affidavits told of seeing them play together around 6:30 p.m. the evening they disappeared and seeing Terry Hobbs, Steve Branch's stepfather, calling them to come home. Initial police searches made that night were limited. Friends and neighbors also conducted a search that night, which included a cursory visit to the location where the bodies were later found. Welcome, cartel members, Anons, Facebook friends, Twitter followers, random YouTube viewer. Thanks for joining me. My name is Julio and I am the Theorizing Theorist. And today we're having a Sunday extravaganza. We're going to be having a Sunday fun day, hanging out all day. I'm going to be trying to post videos all day long, kind of my little promotion to show you guys I'm serious about posting multiple videos daily during the summer at least. They may not be the greatest, they may not be the most well thought out ones, but I'm going to be posting multiple ones nonetheless. So with that said, today we're also going to be going over the West Memphis 3. Now, it was brought to my attention in the comment section, and I've heard about it before, and I have a theory I wanted to run past y'all, and I don't know much about it, so this theory has probably already been thought of, who knows, and it's probably even been proven, shoot. So if you guys know and have any links, please be sure to drop them down in the comment section below so we can all share the wonderful knowledge that we're trying to share. Now, another reason I am doing this extravaganza today, because today is kind of a celebration for me. I'm celebrating 4 years sober, so big ups to me. And yeah, it's been a long journey. So please comment down below if you have any stories you would like to share. I'm not trying to get into a big AA meeting, but maybe you have some words of advice or just thoughts and whatever, you know, down in the comment section below. I'd very much so appreciate it. Also, if you want to get a hold of me, my email is an allamericancartelllc@gmail.com. That is spelled ANALLAMERICANLLC@gmail.com. What else? Please be sure to subscribe, like, share, follow. Check the description box down below. I have my PayPal, CASHAPP, and VENMO. I very much appreciate any and all donations. $1 helps. Like I've said before, it just shows that you're going that extra, mile to give me a like, put it that way. Like, when you go to the restaurants and you tip them and you sometimes, like, there's an old thing where you could give them a penny on top of your tip, and that shows that it was excellent service. So or if it's horrible service, you could just leave them 1 penny and then they get the hint, obviously. So yeah, it doesn't matter. Just if you guys want to donate. If not, then just hit the like button, please. It doesn't matter to me. It's all free, and it's for fun. You guys are my friends. We're all just kind of hanging out, but of course all money does stay with the channel. So without further ado, let's dive into the West Memphis 3, and as always, the routine. To God be the glory. The West Memphis 3 are the 3 men convicted as teenagers in 1994 of the 1993 murders of 3 boys in West Memphis, Arkansas, United States. Damian Eccles was sentenced to death, Jesse McKelly Jr. to life imprisonment plus 2 20-year sentences, and Jason Baldwin to life imprisonment. During the trial, the prosecution asserted that juveniles killed the children as part of a satanic ritual. Due to the dubious nature of the evidence, as well as the suspected presence of emotional bias in court, the case generated widespread controversy and was the subject of several documentaries. Celebrities and musicians held fundraisers to support efforts to free the men. Of course, right, guys? In July 2007, new forensic evidence was presented. A report jointly issued by the state and the defense team stated although most of the genetic material recovered from the scene was attributable to the victims of the offenses, some of it cannot be attributed to either the victims or the defendants. Following a 2010 decision by the Arkansas Supreme Court regarding newly produced DNA evidence and potential juror misconduct, the West Memphis 3 negotiated a plea bargain with prosecutors. On August 19, 2011, they entered Alford pleas, which allowed them to assert their innocence while acknowledging that prosecutors have enough evidence to convict them. What the heck does that even mean? How is that even legal? Oh my goodness. Judge David Laser accepted the pleas and sentenced the 3 to time served. They were released with 10-year suspended sentences, having served 18 years. I wanted to share a fun fact with you guys. I didn't know how I was going to, but I think this is the perfect time to share it. I could be wrong. I might have my numbers twisted like a dyslexic person would do, but I think it's only 40% of all murders are solved. Only 40%. And those 40% are usually like 100% of the 40%. So all of the 40, not 100%, like most of the 40% of murders that are solved are because it's a spouse, someone in the family. But as far as murdering, you know what I'm saying? So food for thought, people. Food for freaking thought. Let's continue. On May 5th, 1993, 3 8-year-old boys, Steve Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers were reported missing in West Memphis, Arkansas. The first report to the police was made by Byers' adoptive father, John Mark Byers, around 7 p.m. The boys were allegedly last seen together by 3 neighbors, who in affidavits told of seeing them playing together around 6:30 p.m. the evening they disappeared, and seeing Terry Hobbs, Steve Branch's stepfather, calling them to come home. Initial police searches made that night were limited. Friends and neighbors also conducted a search that night, which included a cursory visit to the location where the bodies were later found. A more thorough police search for the children began around 8 a.m. on May 6th, led by the Crittenden County Search and Rescue personnel. Searchers canvassed all of West Memphis, but focused primarily on Robin Hood Hills, where the boys were reported last seen. Despite a shoulder-to-shoulder search of Robin Hood Hills by a human chain, searchers found no sign of the missing boys. And a human chain, if you don't know, is just when searchers all hold hands and they walk and they cover, a section of space that they want to cover. But around 1:45 p.m., juvenile parole officer Steve Jones spotted a boy's black shoe floating in a muddy creek that led to a major drainage canal in Robin Hood Hills. A subsequent search of the ditch revealed the bodies of 3 boys. They had been stripped naked and were hogtied with their own shoelaces, their right ankles tied to their right wrists behind their backs, the same with their left arms and legs. Their clothing was found in the creek, some of it twisted around sticks that had been thrust into the muddy ditch bed. The clothing was mostly turned inside out. 2 pairs of the boys' underwear were never recovered. Christopher Byers had lacerations to various parts of his body and mutilation of his scrotum. Oh my goodness. The autopsies by forensic pathologist Frank J. Peretti indicated that Byers died of multiple injuries, while Moore and Branch died of multiple injuries with drowning. Police initially suspected the boys had been raped. However, later expert testimony disputed this finding. Trace amounts of sperm DNA were found on a pair of pants recovered from the scene. Prosecution experts claim Byers' wounds were the result of a knife attack and that he had been purposely castrated by the murderer. Man, I don't know much about this case, guys, so I'm sorry if this is a bit graphic for you. I should have given y'all a warning. My fault. I've heard of it, like the West Memphis 3, of course. I think everyone's kind of heard of it. I knew it was kind of satanic ritual abuse, but there's so many cases I can't research all of them, and this happened when I was only 10 years old, so please forgive me. Anyway, let me continue reading here. Where was I at? Defense experts claim the injuries were most likely the result of post-mortem animal predation, which probably means animals were chewing away. Police believe the boys were assaulted and killed at the location where they were found. Critics argue that the assault at least was unlikely to have occurred at the creek. Byers was the only victim with drugs in his system. He was prescribed Ritalin in January 1993 as part of treatment of an attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. The initial autopsy report describes the drug as carbamazepine and the dosage at a subtherapeutic level. His father said Byers may not have taken his prescription on May 5, 1993. Victims: Steve Edward Branch, Christopher Byers, and Michael Moore were all second graders at Weaver Elementary School. Each had achieved the rank of wolf in the local Cub Scout pack and were best friends. Steve Branch was the son of Stephen and Pamela Branch, who divorced when he was an infant. His mother was awarded custody and later married Terry Hobbs. Branch was 8 years old, 4 feet tall, had blonde hair. He was last seen wearing blue jeans and a white shirt, riding a black and red bicycle. He was an honor student. He lived with his mother, Pamela Hobbs, his stepfather, Terry Hobbs, and a 4-year-old half-sister, Amanda. Steve Edward Branch is buried in Mount Zion Cemetery. Christopher Mark Byers was born to Melissa Defer, Ricky Murray. His parents divorced when he was 4 years old. Shortly afterward, his mother married John Mark Byers, who adopted the boy. Byers was 8 years old, 4 foot, light brown hair. He was last seen wearing blue jeans, dark shoes, a white long sleeve. Was he on a bike with a friend, I'm imagining? Sharon Melissa Byers, his adoptive father, John Mark Byers, and his stepfather, Sean Ryan Clark, age 3. According to his mother, Christopher was typical 8-year-old. Okay, so it doesn't say if he was last seen wearing, but not who or what he was doing. Assuming they were all together. James Michael Moore. Michael Moore was the son of Todd and Dana Moore. He was 8 years old, 4 feet tall, 4 foot 2 inches tall, weighed 55 pounds. Just making sure that's a normal weight for that age. He was last seen wearing blue pants and a blue Boy Scouts America shirt and an orange and blue Boy Scout hat and riding a light green bicycle. So we have 2 boys on bicycles, 1 boy without a bicycle. 2 of them were wearing their Boy Scout stuff. So I'm imagining they were coming or going from a Boy Scout thing, or I don't know. Anyway, Moore enjoyed wearing his Scout uniform. There you go. Even when he was not at meetings. It's kind of an odd thing to throw in there, especially. Anyway, he was considered the leader of the 3. He lived with his parents and his 9-year-old sister, Dawn. James Michael Moore is buried in Crittenden, Arkansas. Victims Memorial. Sorry, I'm just looking for relevant information that I think might be relevant to us here. At the time of their arrest, Jesse Miskelly Jr. was 17 years old, Jason Baldwin was 16 years old, and Damian Eccles was 18 years old. Baldwin and Eccles had been previously arrested for vandalism and shoplifting, respectively, and Miskelly had a reputation for his temper and for engaging in fistfights with other teenagers at school. Miskelly and Eccles had dropped out of high school. However, Baldwin earned high grades and demonstrated a talent for drawing and sketching and was encouraged by one of his teachers to study graphic design in college. Eccles and Baldwin were close friends and bonded over their similar taste in music and in fiction, and over their shared distaste for the prevailing culture climate of West Memphis, situated in the Bible Belt. So I think we know what that is. Baldwin and Eccles were acquainted with Miss Kelly from school, but were not close friends with him. Eccles' family was poor and received frequent visits from social workers. Well, and he rarely attended school. He and a girlfriend had run off and later broken into a trailer during a rainstorm. They were arrested, though only Eccles was charged with burglary. Eccles spent several months in a mental institution in Arkansas and afterward received full disability status from Social Security Administration. Man, all this is pretty interesting. At his death penalty sentencing, Eccles' psychologist reported that months before the murders, Eccles had claimed that he obtained superpowers by drinking human blood. At the time of his arrest, Eccles was working part-time with a roofing company and expected a child with his girlfriend, Dominique Tier. So it says that Eccles suffered from a serious mental illness characterized by grandiose and persecutory delusions, auditory and visual hallucinations, disordered thought processes, a substantial lack of insight, and chronic incapacitating mood swings. Sounds like a gem. Early in the investigation, the WMPD briefly regarded two West Memphis teenagers as suspects. Chris Morgan and Brian Holland, both with drug offense histories, had abruptly departed for Oceanside, California. 4 days after the bodies were discovered, Morgan was presumed to be at least casually familiar with all three murdered boys, having previously driven an ice cream truck route in their neighborhood. Oh my goodness. Arrested in Ocean. I say oh my goodness because I already have my theory, and it's like half of this stuff is like kind of fitting with it. So it's like, Jesus, man. And I don't know, maybe there's already somebody this was an old case, obviously, so I'm sure there's a bazillion conspiracy theories. This case has probably been cut up 1,000 different ways. But, you know, it's Sunday Fun Day, and somebody wrote down MW3 in the comment section, like MW3, and I was like, Modern Warfare 3? The old gamer in me, you know? So I had to ask him, what do you mean? He said the West Memphis 3, and so I knew I'd heard that name before, so I went to Wikipedia and I started going through, and I'll show you what caught my eye off the bat. I'll give you a little tip. It has to do with Arkansas. Mr. Bojangles. Oh wait, I'm gonna skip some parts here. Arrested in Oceanside on May 17, 1993, Morgan and Holland both took polygraph exams administered by California police. Examiners reported that both men's charts indicated deception when they denied involvement in the murders during subsequent questioning. Morgan claimed a long history of drug and alcohol use, along with blackouts and memory lapses. He claimed that he might have killed the victims, but quickly recanted this part of his statement. I'm just, you know, if you watch my last video, I just think it was a little curious how the chief didn't want to respond to the polygraph stuff. So let me know in the comment section of that video of the Cal City being suspect number one, and let me know what you think about, you know, the chief's actions, I guess, in that video. It was a little besides the fact that he looked like Anton LaVey, but I digress. Let's continue. Denied involvement in the murders. During subsequent questioning, Morgan claimed a long history of drug and alcohol use, along with blackouts and memory lapses. He claimed that he might have killed the victims, but quickly recanted this part of his statement. California police sent blood and urine samples from Morgan and Holland to the WMPD, but there is no indication WMPD investigated Morgan or Holland as suspects following their arrests in California. The relevance of Morgan's recanted statement would later be debated in trial, but it was eventually barred from admission as evidence. Mr. Bojangles, ooh, what's this? Oh my God. The sighting of a black male as a possible alternate suspect was implied during the beginning of the Miss Kelly trial. I mean, that's a terrible name. I mean, Mr. Bojangles, I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be some racial undertones. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just confused. Anyway, according to local West Memphis police officers, on the evening of May 5th, 1993, at 8:42 p.m., and it's very important to pay attention to all these numbers, okay, guys? Not that I'm a big numbers guy, but the Satanists and these ritual freaks, not only are they big into numbers, they also communicate with each other through numbers in these mainstream articles. They make sure that these murders are attached to these timestamps so that people that are on the end see these timestamps and know that this was a murder that was theirs. You get what I'm saying? It's kind of like a calling card, but it also with the calling card, I'm sure they leave messages and, like, you know, they tell them at their freaking Satanist meetings or something like that, you know, if you guys see in the newspaper, you know, something called the West Memphis 3 or the WM3, and it's a murder of 3 little boys, you know that Arkansas is the new spot for, I don't know. I'm just saying. Don't want to slander Arkansas. I'm just, you know, kind of just running along with down a rabbit hole that's going to end to nowhere. I'm just kind of showing you guys how my brain thinks a little bit on this Sunday afternoon or morning or night. Just depends on where you're at in the world. According to local West Memphis police officers, on the evening of May 5th, 1993 at 8:42 p.m., workers in the Bojangles restaurant located about a mile from the crime scene in Robin Hood Hills reported seeing a black male who seemed mentally disorientated inside the restaurant's ladies' room. The man was bleeding and had brushed against the restroom walls. Officer Regina Meeks responded to the call, taking the restaurant's manager's report through the eatery's drive-thru window. By then, the man had left, and police did not enter the restroom on that date. The day after the victims' bodies were found, Bojangles' manager, Marty King, thinking there was a possible connection to the bloody man found in the bathroom, reported the incident to police officers, who then inspected the ladies' room. King gave the officers a pair of sunglasses he thought the man had left behind, and the detectives took some blood samples from the walls and tiles of the restroom. Police Detective Bryn Ridge testified that he later lost those blood scrapings. Nice. A hair identified as belonging to a black male was later recovered from a sheet wrapped around one of the victims. Pretty convenient. One hair, huh? They found one hair on the sheet wrapped around. I mean, one hair? One? Evidence and interviews. Police officers James Sudbury and Steve Jones felt that the crime had cult overtones and that Damien Echols might be a suspect because he had interest in occultism. And Jones felt Echols was capable of murdering children. The police interviewed Echols on May 7th, 2 days after the bodies were discovered. During a polygraph examination, he denied any involvement. The polygraph examiner claimed that Echols' chart indicated deception. On May 9th, during a formal interview by Detective Bryn Ridge, Echols mentioned that one of the victims had wounds to the genitals. Law enforcement viewed this knowledge as incriminating. After a month had passed with little progress in the case, police continued to focus their investigation upon Echols, interrogating him more frequently than any other person. Nonetheless, they claimed he was not regarded as a direct suspect but a source of information. On June 3rd, the police interrogated Jesse Miskelly Jr. Despite his reported IQ of 72 and his status as a minor, Miskelly was questioned alone. His parents were not present during the interrogation. Miskelly's father gave permission for Miskelly to go with the police but did not explicitly give permission for his son to be questioned or interrogated. Miskelly was questioned for roughly 12 hours. Only 2 segments totaling 46 minutes were recorded. Not suspect. Miskelly quickly recanted his confession, citing intimidation, coercion, fatigue, and veiled threats from police. Miskelly specifically said he was scared of the police during this confession. So I've read enough. Do you guys want to hear my theory? So you guys go ahead and read it all. You guys can show me up in the comments section below the stuff that you find and debunk my crazy theory. But I'm thinking Bill Clinton. Just gonna say it. I think that's all I really have to say. Now, with that said, I'm gonna show you something here. 1993 it happened, May 1993. Bill Clinton was inaugurated January 20th, 1993, which means he was elected president November of 1992, right? And so a couple months later, these 3 boys die at the hands of 3 other boys, and there's a couple of 8s there, 3 8s, all this weird numberology. Makes me wonder if Bill Clinton didn't have something to do with this case. You would need to have some pull with the Arkansas Police Department, or I don't know. I'm not trying to be judgmental on the police department. They have a hard enough job. They try very hard and they do a very good job. Here at an All-American Cartel, we are very pro law enforcement, if you guys didn't know. Yeah, that's all I have for you guys. I'm going to make another video here soon, so stay tuned. It's going to be a Sunday fun day for us, so hopefully I don't annoy you guys. I'm just going to hang out a little bit when I get a chance and just make videos that interest me and stuff that I want to share with you. So that's all I got for you. Thank you guys for joining me, and as always, the routine. To God be the glory.